The jungle was thick, wet, and suffocating, the kind of heat that soaked through fatigues in minutes. Sniper Carlos Hathcock and his spotter, John Roland Burke, had been moving for hours, hunting a man the Marines feared almost as much as they feared dying out here. The Viet Cong called him the Cobra. He was a counter-sniper, and he had already killed several Americans, including a gunnery sergeant gunned down just outside Hathcock's own quarters. Hathcock raised his binoculars and studied the tree line. He was exhausted. He didn't care. He had made a promise to himself the day he found his friend's body, and he intended to keep it. Whatever the Cobra was, Hathcock was certain of one thing: he was better. What happened in the next few minutes would turn a Marine sharpshooter into a legend whispered about on both sides of the war. Carlos Hathcock served 2 tours in Vietnam. He stood 5'10", weighed barely 120 pounds, and never once willingly took a day off. He volunteered for so many high-risk missions that his own commanding officer eventually had to order him confined to base just to force him to rest. His weapon of choice was a standard Winchester Model 70 chambered in .30-06, fitted with an 8-power Unertl scope, though he sometimes worked an M2 Browning machine gun as well. It was the Winchester that earned him a record no one would touch for the next 35 years, a confirmed kill at 2,500 yards. As his reputation spread through the jungle, the North Vietnamese army gave him a name of his own: Du Kik Long Trong, the White Feather Sniper, after the small white feather he kept tucked into the band of his bush hat. It became a target as much as a nickname. Bounties on American snipers usually ran somewhere between $8,000 and $2,000. Hathcock's head was priced at $30,000, the highest ever placed on an American sniper in the war. At one point, an entire platoon of enemy snipers was sent out with the sole job of killing him, and in response, dozens of Marines started wearing white feathers of their own, turning the jungle into a hall of mirrors and making the counter-sniper's job nearly impossible. It didn't matter. Every marksman sent after the man with the highest bounty in Vietnam ended up dead instead. Hathcock had taught himself to shoot as a boy in Arkansas, back when it wasn't a hobby but a way to help feed his family. He and his dog would disappear for hours into the wilderness, where he'd stalk imaginary Japanese soldiers with a .22 caliber J.C. Higgins rifle his father had carried home from World War II. He grew up wanting exactly one thing: to be a United States Marine. He got it in 1959, enlisting at just 17 years old. By 1965, he'd already won the Wimbledon Cup, the most prestigious title in long-range shooting competition. He landed in Vietnam a year later, first assigned as a military policeman, guarding installations and enforcing regulations, a job that bored him half to death. So he wanted combat, so he volunteered for it. Captain Edward James Land, the officer building the Marine Corps' first true sniper program, heard about Hathcock's shooting records and hand-picked him personally. From there, Hathcock was sent to the 1st Marine Division Sniper Platoon at Hill 55, 10 miles southwest of Da Nang, the place where he'd become the deadliest sniper of the entire war. Hathcock wasn't the only feared marksman working those hills. On the other side was a Viet Cong platoon leader, interrogator, and sniper the Marines nicknamed Apache, a woman said to be as beautiful as she was brutal. She carried a scoped 7.62mm Mosin Nagant M44 and had a reputation for torture that went beyond combat necessity. Accounts say she deliberately positioned herself and her prisoners near American bases so the screams would carry. She had been operating around Hill 55 long before Hathcock ever arrived. In November of 1966, after she killed one of his closest friends, Hathcock searched the jungle night after night looking for her, coming up empty every time. Then one afternoon, Captain Land spotted a small-framed Vietnamese woman moving with 5 armed guerrillas, carrying a rifle that matched Apache's description exactly. Hathcock and Land closed the distance carefully, waiting. The moment she crouched down and lowered her guard, Land called in an artillery strike on the group. In the chaos that followed, as the surviving guerrillas scrambled toward them under fire, Land gave the order, and Hathcock fired. So he put a second round into her before she hit the ground, just to be certain. For a moment afterward, the two men just stared at each other in stunned silence. Then the silence broke into laughter, adrenaline, and disbelief. The most lethal woman in Vietnam was dead, but it was the Cobra who would define Hathcock's legend. The counter-sniper carried a scoped Mosin Nagant 9130 and had made killing Hathcock his personal obsession, taking out several Marines along the way, including the gunnery sergeant murdered right outside Hathcock's quarters. Standing over his friend's body, Hathcock made himself a promise. "I took a vow right there and then. I was going to get him some way or another." He respected the Cobra's skill. He never doubted his own was better. So he and Burke set out from Hill 55 to track the man down, following him deep into the jungle. The Cobra saw them first and lined up his shot. Hathcock happened to stumble over a fallen tree at that exact moment, and the round meant for him tore through Burke's canteen instead. The near miss sent both hunting parties scrambling for new positions, and when the dust settled, the two snipers found themselves on opposite ends of where they'd started, with the Cobra now facing directly into the afternoon sun. A flash of light glinted off glass in the underbrush. The sun had caught the Cobra's own scope and given away his position. Hathcock didn't hesitate. He fired a single round toward the glint. When he walked up to the body afterward, he realized what he'd actually done. The bullet had punched clean through the Cobra's scope and continued on, striking him directly between the eyes. Hathcock took the rifle as a trophy, planning to keep it as a memento of the war. It would later be stolen from the base armory before he ever got the chance to bring it home. By 1967, Command believed Hathcock was burned out from the sheer volume of dangerous missions he'd run, and they discharged him. He lasted exactly 1 week at home with his wife and son before re-enlisting. He didn't know how to be anything other than a Marine, and he wanted back in the fight. He was sent to Quantico to teach on the rifle team, but he was miserable behind a classroom desk, and eventually the Corps sent him back to Vietnam, this time in command of his own sniper platoon. On September 16, 1969, the amphibious vehicle he was riding in with his team struck an anti-tank mine on Highway 1, north of landing zone Baldy. The vehicle went up in flames immediately. Hathcock didn't run. He went back into the fire again and again, pulling 7 Marines out of the wreckage before he finally collapsed in a nearby rice paddy, only then realizing how badly he himself had been burned. Other Marines dragged him into water and got him out. He and the 7 men he'd saved were evacuated by helicopter to the hospital ship USS Repose, then flown to a naval hospital in Japan, and finally to the burn center at Brooke Army Medical Center in Texas. He'd suffered burns across 43% of his body, many of them 3rd degree. His career as a sniper was over. While recovering, he was awarded the Purple Heart and later the Silver Star for pulling his men from the flames. The Marine Corps tried to retire him again that same year. He wouldn't have it. At 27, walking with a limp and losing mobility, he pushed to stay in and was assigned as a gunnery sergeant aboard the submarine tender USS Simon Lake in Spain. When a new commanding officer came aboard in 1975, he was shocked to find Hathcock could barely move without assistance. Doctors delivered the diagnosis: multiple sclerosis. Hathcock went back to Quantico, where, despite constant pain from both the disease and his old injuries, he helped establish the Marine Corps Scout Sniper School, training a new generation of marksmen, including operators from SEAL Team 6. His health kept deteriorating anyway. In 1979, he collapsed mid-class, just 55 days shy of completing 20 years of service. It was enough to finally force his retirement. Carlos Hathcock is still a legend within the Marine Corps today. There's an award named after him, the Gunnery Sergeant Carlos Hathcock Award, given annually to someone who has made a significant impact on small arms tactics and readiness within the military or law enforcement. He once explained his success as a sniper came down to a kind of mental discipline he called his concentration bubble, a state of total, narrowed focus where every breeze and every leaf carried meaning, all of it pointing toward the target. By the official record, Hathcock had close to 100 confirmed kills, though confirmation required a third-party witness who wasn't his own spotter, something that was often impossible behind enemy lines. Hathcock himself believed the real number was somewhere between 300 and 400. Despite that, he always insisted he took no pleasure in the killing. The only thing he said he ever thought about on a mission was how many of fellow insurance he might be bringing home alive. If you enjoyed this story, let us know your thoughts in the comments. And subscribe for more deep dives into military history's most legendary figures.